Welcome back. This is Hope Adon right here at Hope TV, where you look and you live. And the conversation is already on, even before we came live. And today it's all about financial fitness. And we have been having this series, the baby steps towards financial freedom. That is what we have been having. That is the conversation we have been having right here at Hope Adon. And I know that you have followed through and you have learned a thing or two. And you are now a better person. And today, actually, it will sort of like the culmination of now how, after you have been doing all these things, I've been following this process and all, where does it lead to? And this is what we will be discussing today. So be part of the show, share the link. We are live as well on YouTube. Get us across our social media platforms on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are also on TikTok. You can get us there. Also, you can drop us a question, clarity, any query you could be having on our WhatsApp platform, 0708 222 323, and we will appreciate those comments as well. My name is George Gishuru. Allow me to welcome our, should I say a guest? I think he's now more of a co-host, you know, because he's been here. He now knows even the drill of Hope Adon, so he's sort of a co-host. So allow me to welcome James. Good morning.
Thank you. Morning so much. Good morning, George.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. It has been an amazing journey.
Definitely.
I think now it's the 5th time we started with the children and money. We came now to financial freedom, and we felt it's a lot. It's a lot.
So we cannot be able to
compress in 1 hour.
Into one show.
Exactly. And we came from goal setting, and I think later on we came to budgeting, we came to emergency fund, into coming out of debts, and now today we are talking about savings and investments.
Yes.
And even as we have been talking this morning, sometimes it's so easy to think saving and investment is the same thing. There's no difference. But I think today we are unpacking and actually realizing how do we move on? How do we move from where we are? And I think it's such an amazing place to be. And I was sharing with one of the staff here how when I was making some few notes here and there and adjusting few things, realizing a lady we worked together with, and I think 2019, that is when she came into my life, into this life of financial advising and moving on. She had lost her husband, and actually it was a very hard situation, and then she didn't know where to start. And I think we started with an emergency fund, and she told me, James, I don't know where this is going. But the last time we checked, I think somewhere last year, she had grown it to 500,000 shillings.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think step by step, she was like, eventually we were plugging in the daughter. She's a super mom. She's teaching her daughters how to make money, how to do crafts they can sell and all that. And now bringing the children to money market fund and to having financial wellness and awareness to the children. And I think later is realizing, by the way, these things can be done. And these are the few stories that I look back and realize, I thank God He has given us the chance to do this, and also the passion to also see changed life and people mastering their money. Yes.
Awesome. Before we even get into the conversation, because you see how heated and how interesting it is, allow us, for the sake of maybe someone has not been following us, just a brief introduction of yourself, then we can pick it up from there.
Yeah, my name is James Wanyugi. I'm a licensed financial advisor, and I'm married to a beautiful wife. I know she is watching wherever she is. And I have 4 kids, 2 big boys, and a daughter who turned 11 today, an amazing girl who has become an author at 11 years. Already has a book out there. So I'm a father and a husband, and I thank God because above my career, I'm so passionate about parenting. I mean, if I have ever taken things serious in my life, I think parenting is one of the key. Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting, because many a times, especially someone like you and all that you do in your work and all, sort of, we are so busy.
Yes.
You know, we are so busy. Family takes a backseat. So hearing that, quite encouraging.
Exactly, and realizing if I miss in that, no matter how much money I make, eventually becomes a pain where I realize everything else have fallen. So for me, that is really key in my life.
Awesome.
Yes.
You have already inspired us before you even go into our conversation. Karibu sana, James.
Asante.
It's a joy and a pleasure to always have you on set. Let's go to today's conversation. We are talking about savings and investments.
Yes.
And what we have discussed is that for some people, they actually don't see the difference.
Yes.
It's one and the same. So long as I'm saving,
yes,
that's part of investment. So long as I have an investment,
yes,
see, I'm saving,
yes,
you know, in one way or the other. Exactly. So is there a difference?
Yeah. So for me, maybe to mention a bit about the difference between savings and investments.
Yeah.
Savings are more short term, where you put in your money today, and then maybe in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks from now, you just grab your money and do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Savings can run, of course, I've said it short term. It can be from 1 day to 3 years. That is what we call savings.
So savings should one month to
3 years, and that's a place where we talked about setting goals in the beginning of this session, and these are a place where you have a goal that you want to achieve in the next 3 years. Where do I put my money so that it makes something, even as I target to achieve whatever I want to achieve? And then we come now to, and also I want to mention that savings are, the tools for savings are short term, are usually like more riskier because you are putting them in a tool. So in most of the tools are more like, we gauge risk levels into whatever you are putting your money into. But now when you come to long term, these are places where between 3 to 10, 15, 20 years. And these are places where you have a longer goal, maybe to build a home, maybe to drive, depending on the goals that you have put, what are short-term and what are long-term goals. And long-term goals, these are where we put our money in a place where we cannot access it up to a certain period. And that allows us to have the discipline and the consistency. And also I like talking about checking off our long-term goals, where you give your money a name. You remember when we were talking about budgeting, give it a name, say this is a piece of land I'm investing, I'm working towards, and then in the next 10 years, I want to access this money. Also, when we talk about retirement is long-term, depending again where someone is at their age. These are places where you say, I'm in business, I want to retire, to put a retirement fund to in the next 15, 20 years. Where do I put that money? Again, that is long-term. You break it down and then realize that I want to retire with this figure. We say retirement is not an age for most people. So, but again, how much does that look like, and how do I work backward? So savings is short term, 0 to 3 years, or 1 month to 3 years, and then long term or investment is between. They are all long term. Most investments are long term, and then they give you better returns, and then you're able to achieve more than one goal within. Like I can save, and also I'm achieving something else with the same money. Yes.
Awesome. It's good to know the difference between the two, because also I have had people, they want the short-term savings, but they want it in terms of the returns to be high. And so in a way they get discouraged when they hear, let's say, for example, even fixed accounts and money market. Of course, the money market, I think the highest could be 10% after all the service charges and everything for the fixed accounts. The one I checked last was around 8.5%.
Actually, it's true.
So when you put that money and you say, 5,000 per month for 1 year, they feel the return in terms of the interest is so low.
It's so low.
So they feel, is it really worth it?
Yes, actually I interacted with someone, I think somewhere last week somewhere in a company I work with. I helped their staff actually to plug into financial, first of all to teach them, and also to give them solutions on where to put their money. And this guy was telling me, James, I put 5,000 shillings, but the last 1 week I've realized I've made 32 cents. Because now they can be able to track on the app. And he was like, I think this thing doesn't work. But I was telling him, it may look little, but you can imagine the discipline to put those 5,000 shillings along the way. Eventually they will make something. But someone who is investing into maybe a lump sum of 200,000, 300,000, they are able now to see the numbers change quicker than this person who is investing into maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shillings. But the good thing is to be aware how much percentage is my money making, and at the end of the day, how much am I going to put that consistently? Because I was telling someone, if you are at a Gen Z at around maybe 25 years and you're in your first employment, if you put 5,000 shillings in the money market at a minimum of 10,000 shillings for the next 35 years, you will have 17 million.
Wow.
And if you look at how much you will have contributed, you will have contributed 2.5 million shillings. The power of compound interest. It's only that, do we have the discipline to keep that money there? Because money market, you can access that money. Can you let it grow at that rate for that period? Because there is power of, like the tools are very different, but if you have the discipline, because there are people who have achieved that, they have managed, even if no matter what happens, this account is just for me to grow money long term. And then eventually now realizing, working backward into whatever you want to achieve. Yes.
So talking to someone who wants to start saving today, because we are talking of savings, and they want to use the money market as a vehicle, you're telling them, one, consistency. Number two, discipline. And then number three, what's the word I want to use? Don't be greedy.
Don't
allow that money to be there for a while. Because now that's when now you enjoy the compound, the
compound interest effect. Yes, it may be little. It could be, and most of the money markets, you can start as low as 1,000 shillings. Actually, most of them are to 500 shillings. And the 500 shillings is still your money. It's not like the minimum balance. It's still your money. But do you have the discipline to grow it long term?
Awesome. Now we are learning. It's important to get those differences. Let's talk about Kenyans, us, and the culture of saving. First of all, because you have interacted with a number of diverse people, where are we in terms of the culture of savings?
Thank you so much. And it's a good question, because sometimes people, I've realized there's a cultural differences where we have the black tax thing, where you can get your money. And I talked about last time about budgeting, giving your money a name, and mastering your money, where we come to a place of maybe sometimes we are supporting our relatives or people in the village until you leave yourself with no money. And that becomes a big issue into a Kenyan context. And we also come to a place of low and unstable incomes, where you realize nowadays people who are earning maybe below 20,000 shillings, the cost of living has gone so high. And now you realize it comes to a place where most people are not able to put something aside. And again, I come to a place where I challenge people, even if you are earning so little, if you're not saving, you are living above your means. And another thing is I want to talk about lack of financial literacy. And I think in Kenya, bit by bit, with the social media and everything, and I thank God because of maybe the media houses that are inviting financial advisors over time, maybe people are becoming more financially literate, but over time you realize now these are places where most Kenyans have not been able to take advantage of that. And also, I want to talk about we are in a time of social media recently, and it's a good thing, but also a bad thing, where I realize I've gotten friend requests from my village people that I never knew they could be on social media. So the good thing is that they are more aware of what is happening, but on the other hand, we are also living in a place where people are posting the best self of, like if I come at Hope Media, I want to take the best spot of Hope Media, post it out there, and someone would think this is the life James lives every day, but they don't know I grind every day. I arise to work 5 a.m. every day, doing meetings, doing financial literacy, educations and all that. People want to live a life that they cannot afford. So you realize now people are so deep into debts. And I can tell you, maybe in every 3 people you realize maybe two of them are in deep debt. Or if you go now to 10 people, you realize maybe more than 6 people are into debt. They cannot be able to move. So I realized as Kenyans, we are in a place where most people are living under pressure, and also high interest loans. People go to loans that they cannot be able to come out of, where people are digging ditches, and instead of working into ways of coming out of it, maybe it's digging deeper and deeper every day.
Yeah.
So I can say Kenya's, we thank God people are becoming more aware of financial literacy, especially the young people. I think in my portfolio, I think I have the biggest number below 30 years, which is so encouraging. But again, I'm also realizing there is a very big gap into savings and investing. Yes.
Because also we are coming from families, backgrounds that, we never had those conversations, even at home when growing up and all, in terms of, saving. Because many, the ideal families, it's hand to mouth. And so when now you talk about savings, and again, how savings was presented to us, it was sort of like, abundant. So long as saving is for those who have a lot. So you have so much, now umeacha mpaka we uko na ya kusave. So as we keep saying, the background also plays a key role in as far as how, and I'm glad when you said your portfolio has so many young people, meaning that they are now embracing that culture of saving. Unlike some of us, our generation and those ahead of us, for them, hand to mouth. Let's talk about ideally how much should I save?
And that's a good question. We talked about now I still refer back to, because now all these sessions have built up into where we are. I talked about budgeting, and I love, I still go back to the 50-30-20 rule. There are young people we meet, and maybe someone is living with their parents, and then you realize they are 50%, actually they can flip it on the other side. But I usually advise anyone, maybe you have a family or you are renting, you have bills to pay, I still go back to the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% is still on your need, 30% is on your wants. And again, you'll realize the moment you start tracking your money, you start now being aware of every shilling, where it's coming from and where it's going. That way, you will be able now to save the 20%, where I encourage people to save 10% on short term, and then 10% on money that you cannot be able to access up to a certain period. And that is what I call long term. That is from 10 years, 15, 20, depending on your long-term goals. But I usually advise people 20% of your money should go to savings. And again, as I'm saying, there are people who actually, I was interacting with someone when I was coming to work, and they told me of a friend who is saving 100% of their income. They have developed side hustles that are so sustainable that they can save whatever they get 100%. And I think that is someone who is living on financial freedom. But for now, I think the baby steps is to start at 20%. Yes, 10% short term, that is savings, and then 10% long term. And savings, we talked about emergency fund. Can you put your money into a place where it's earning you good income, but at the same time, it's giving you accessibility. If anything happens, I can be able to access this money.
You have explained it so well, James, and all, and we know even the vehicles that we can use for us to save. Why then do we struggle?
Great. and I think that's a good question, because first of all, we struggle out of many reasons, and I want to repeat maybe some of the reasons I've given on the first, on the previous question. We also come to a place of, we have come from places where James is a firstborn, and I'm talking maybe this for men, but I know there are ladies who take responsibilities of other people who are behind them, where you were raised knowing that your parent is raising you up to take care of the people behind you. I talked about financial literacy. People don't seek information. I remember a story. I was interacting with someone yesterday who had a lady who was paid an insurance policy out of the death of the husband. She was paid 3 million shillings. And out of those 3 million shillings over the COVID period, she invested in a tool that she lost her money within 2-3 years. And now, eventually, the children were struggling to go to school and stuff. So financial literacy is very key. Do we chase percentages? Because she was like, someone introduced to me through a tool that eventually I could not withdraw my money. Eventually, it became a court case. So people lack financial literacy. And another thing is that maybe people struggle because they don't want to review their financial goals eventually. So that if I mentioned I want to achieve A, B, C, D at the end of this year, if I have not achieved that, do I still go back and review and realize by the I haven't achieved this, what is the way forward for me? Can I review and actually come to a place of accepting? I want now to adjust my goals to things that are measurable, they are realistic. Do I have to, do people review the goals that they have set? Another thing is that people don't track their money. Because there are people who believe I don't have money.
Yeah.
But now if you tell them to sit down with a pen and paper, can you track where your money comes from and where every shilling is going? You realize maybe I have a social life, but that is taking too much money. But because I'm enjoying life, I'm not able to realize I can put money aside. Yeah. So not tracking our money is a big, maybe I can say shortcoming. Yeah. And also budgeting. People don't budget. As long as we talk about it, we had a whole session here. Yes. But if I can ask someone who watched that and they have actually maybe downloaded an app for budgeting and maybe having a notebook to start tracking their budgeting, you realize people, we just get the head knowledge, but we don't put it into practice. Last time I talked about 80% of whatever we are talking is behavior change and 20% head knowledge. So if whatever I listen, I don't put it into practice, it means I will still struggle to save.
True.
So it's a lot of, we can talk and talk, but I think the end of the day is that people don't want to have a conversation about this hard topic. We don't want to engage financial advisors. We just want to believe that whatever I have in my mind is enough. And another thing is that people have lost money along the way. Maybe they saved through companies that collapse with their money. People like the lady I'm talking about, she invested through a company that eventually was put under receivership, mismanagement, and all that. People have also been hurt through places that they have put their money, and their money eventually didn't give them whatever they thought they will get. So it's just a matter of being aware, seeking information. And I think the scriptures talk about in the multitude of counselors, people don't go astray. We don't seek information from more than one people. And maybe the person we seek information from, they are not financial advisors. They are just people who lost money somewhere and they are telling you, just leave it alone. And also high-level debts, high interest debts, where people have tied themselves to places where they cannot come out of. Maybe someone took a mortgage somewhere, it became so draining to them, they can barely have a shilling to put just somewhere to save on other needs. So it's so sad, but all these things, they are there like they have discouraged people from coming to a place of financial freedom. Yes.
And you have mentioned, and I thought, why not ask you this? Where does it fall? Which category does it fall? Mortgage. And the reason I'm asking this is because so many people are now going that route of mortgage. Where does it fall, and how should I prepare before I venture into the mortgage?
And that's a good question, because unfortunately I've interacted with few people who have, maybe you took a mortgage where the goal was to own a home, but now you have gotten a deal where you have realized how much will I be paying for the next 35 years. But now you don't realize that is the entire life of how much you will be you will be in employment. And a lot of things can change along the way. But unfortunately, I've seen maybe 80% of people I've been interacted with who have taken mortgages. Recently, I had someone who was telling me, James, can we look for someone to sell this house? Because 20 years down the line, the amount of money they're expected to pay, it's still so high. They're actually struggling to make ends meet. And then it becomes a big burden. Anytime the interest rates change from the Central Bank of Kenya, you realize now these loans again, the whole thing, it changes, and then you realize you have not been paying anything. Actually, you have paid for the interest for the last 20 years. You have not started paying for the house. So for me, I usually say, if you are taking a mortgage, just be sure that your income could be maybe 200%, where even if you're knocking off maybe a certain percentage, just be sure you can sustain it for the longest time. But again, I have very sad stories, unfortunately, being in the field that I'm in, where people have put themselves in a certain burden that they cannot lift.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell people, sometimes we look at people where maybe I want to compare to a friend we schooled with that have built, or a few friends, and I want to own a home no matter what. I want to rent, we call it rent to own, but it's another term that we use for a mortgage. We are calling it a better name, but eventually we realize it's still a very baggage on our shoulders. So I usually encourage people where, can you be comfortable to rent until maybe you have a tool that you are saving to buy a plot, and eventually even have two tools where you say, I want to call this money market a plot, I want to call this a home.
Yeah.
And you just discipline yourself into pushing them, and along the way you realize, by the way, I can actually along the way take a circle loan that is cheaper to pay to actually, maybe I've already bought a plot, can I take a circle loan that has less interest, and then up to a certain point I can be able to pay this loan without the burden of interest rates changing along the way. And I think we talked about coming out of debt last time, and where we were talking about even debt consolidation, where you realize, can I put all the debt I have together, take one debt that will help me now to finish everything else. So it's just a matter of realizing mortgage is not as easy. And again, I'm very sensitive because there are people who are advertising the same. But again, whenever you are entering into a mortgage, just know it can take you to the grave. Like you can end up losing a home, maybe remaining 5 years to 40 years, your job has changed, your inflation has taken in, have kicked in place. So just be very cautious before taking a mortgage.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let's talk about how do we strike this balance. I know you have mentioned the 50-30-20 rule.
Yes.
How do we strike this balance of, especially for the young people?
Yes.
We have one as our cameraman here.
Yes.
So how do they strike that balance, including even not just the young people, everyone who wants to get into saving? Because I have a sister, she's young and anasemanga YOLO, you know.
You only live once.
Exactly. So how do you strike that balance so that on the one hand I'm saving, but also on the other I'm enjoying life?
Great. And that's a good question, because whenever I interact with the young people, they ask me, James, you are telling me about the 50-30-20 rule. Where is the space of enjoying life? You see, and I was scribbling this somewhere, and the first step is to set clear goals, define short-term goals, where you say, by the way, in the next 1 year, I want to go into a vacay somewhere. Can you now start here? And I want to say this because in our family, whenever we are doing family holidays, we start as early as now. And there are companies that have packages to take you for a vacation into different places within our nation or outside, abroad, or whatever it is. Can I start somewhere for my short-term goals, and also like knocking it along the way? And then the next one is follow the 50-30-20 rule. The 30%, we have talked about the 20%, we divide it into two. 10% into long-term, 10% into short-term. Can you put the 30%, can you allow a certain percentage in the 30% where you have put as a want, where I can put now a vacation to Dubai, which travel company can I engage in for a discounted package, where I can start working as early as today for next year for a vacay somewhere. And also another thing is automate your savings. The moment you start automating your savings, maybe my money is going for my long term and I have a short term automation. Now it's easy now to allocate the remaining. I have met my needs. What do I do with the remaining? Automation helps you to save, and at the same time, it's giving you an allowance to remain, whatever I remain with, I'm able to work with that. And another one is a budget for fun. Just say, this is our goal. I said, like our family, we have around October to November, we want to go maybe to Mombasa, to wherever, Zanzibar, or wherever we want to go. Now we know the figure, and then we work backward. We have this travel company. Every month we are doing a small deposit. That way, we will not have the pinch of realizing, I should pay 150K. This is a lot of money. But along the way, we have realized how much is it that we are remaining. We budget for it. And then another thing is to look for affordable enjoyment. I know nowadays people can go to coast instead of living to a 5-star hotel. you realize you can do an Airbnb. You see, and per night could be 2,500, very well furnished. You have Wi-Fi and whatever you need. Can you now start budgeting for looking for affordable enjoyment? And maybe as little as near as Naivasha, where you just within 2 hours you're there, and then you're able now to. I remember the Safari Rally season. We are fans of Safari Rally with my son. So we whenever they are going there, we just do an Airbnb. Like last year, we had some VIP tickets to view. So in a very nice place, we are able to look at our budget and realize this is not as much as we thought. So and another thing is increase income, pursue side hustles. And I said I talked about someone who saves 100% of their income. They are able to save that now, because at some point they were able to start few side hustles that became so big. Actually, they became like their main hustle. And that way they have been able to free up a lot of money, and they can do vacation wherever they want. Another thing is I like about increasing income for the young people is freelancing. I remember at some point before I became so busy with what I do now or as a financial advisor, I used to do freelancing for Upwork. It's an international freelancing hustle where you can offer your tech, like maybe writing essays, whatever it is. It's so broad with depending with the industry that someone is. People can earn money through those things, and they are passive. You can work through them maybe when you are at home before you go to work and all that. And another thing is use smart credit practices, avoid unnecessary debts and lifestyle expenses. And I know for the young people, sometimes I want to upgrade my phone. Maybe there is a phone that has come up. I want to upgrade to that. I want to upgrade life. I want to drive maybe the best brand of a car that is around. And out of that, people get into debt, and then they have unnecessary upgrades. So I would advise us still to go back to maybe to the few sessions that we have done and realize where can I plug in and where can I start.
All right.
Yes.
I think we can take a short break.
Sure.
Commercial break, and then we continue with this amazing, enlightening conversation. And any clarity, any question, any query you could be having, don't hesitate to talk to us across our social media platforms. You can also drop those comments on our YouTube page, where we are live on WhatsApp 0708 222 323. We are taking this break, and then we come back and continue with our conversation.
Thank you for tuning in to Hope TV, your go-to channel for hope, inspiration, education, and wholesome entertainment. At Hope TV, we are committed to knowing God and making Him known through powerful media content. We truly value you and are dedicated to serving you better. For feedback, inquiries, or complaints, reach out via WhatsApp or SMS on 0708 222 323. Email us at customerexperience@hopefm.org. Hope TV, look and live.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. goes beyond, watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki mso.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Welcome back. This is Hope Adon right here at Hope TV, where you look and you live. An amazing conversation we are having in as far as savings and investments, part of the series that we have had over the last few weeks in as far as baby steps to financial freedom. And we are hosting our guest, James, who is helping us with this particular topic. Before we go to investments, James,
Yes.
Sally Limo is asking, good morning, Hope. I'm so excited to see Mr. Wanyugi here. My question to him is, how do I balance risk and return based on my financial goals and age?
Great. And that's a good question. I think risk, I gave an example of someone who lost their money, a policy they were paid from the loss of the husband, which was so unfortunate. And now it was an issue of where do I put in my money, or how do I spread my portfolio so that I'm not burning my fingers on one side, but I'm also in a place where my money is safe. And that's where I come to a place of, I tell people to do maybe when they sit with a financial advisor, is to get to know, do I chase percentage or do I chase stability? And I usually advise people, before you put in your shilling, just do your due diligence. Who has been there in the market for the longest time? What percentage do they give? They could not be giving. I remember last year, I was giving an example of lecturers. I visited in a university within Nairobi, and they were approached by salespeople who were selling a high yield financial tool to actually put their money in, get almost 19%. And unfortunately, the unfortunate thing is that within like 5-6 months, they could not withdraw their money, they could not access their funds. They lost their money. And some of them were like, I've deposited 700,000, 1.2 million, 1.5 million shillings, whatever I had saved, it has totally gone. And that's where I come to a place of, do you know wherever you are putting your money in, is it a place where I can lose my money? And there are people who are out there where right now the treasury bills, they help us to determine where the rate is for the money market. Right now they are below 10%. So you realize most money markets are around 13-14%. The least is around maybe 9% there. Do I have someone who is around 12%? And also, when do they come into the market? Are they approved by the CMA? Have they been licensed? Because I was interacting with someone last week, and they were telling me, there are guys who have come up so well within Nairobi. They have billboards within Nairobi, but they were licensed as late as October last year. They have operated for like 3 years. People have put in their money. They promised very high percentages, but they were not licensed up until October last year. Do people know these details? And that's why I encourage guys, whenever you sit with the financial advisor, let them be educational rather than to just sell the product they are having. Do they know whatever is happening in the market? And that way, Sally, you will be able actually to realize before you go into risk, because I still believe I can't afford to lose 1,000 or 2,000 shillings. I know investments, they are risk. All of them are risks. But we also look at the risk averseness. There are people who have been there for 60 years, 70 years within our market. They are offering maybe a very stable percentage, but again, they don't have a history of losing your money. And again, that way you will be able to know where to put in your money and who offers a reasonable percentage. And as you were saying, maybe after expenses, the guys are offering around 10%. And for me, anything above 8% to 10%, for me, it's still good because inflation is around 7%. Anything 8, 9, 10%, even if they are not so stable, can we be able to be in a place where my money is still safe at the end of the day? And also, when you're looking at long-term and short-term, spread your money into, again, the same spaces. There are companies who offer both, where now you can put in short-term and long-term. I remember around August, I was interacting with someone from the UK, and they were telling me, James, I have this sales rep who have been advising me to withdraw all my funds and put in this one company. And this company has been there since 2021. And I told them, no, can you diversify? Yes, their percentage is good. Can we divide whatever you have within the 3 companies? This is offering 18. We have someone offering 14. We have someone at 13. Can you spread? Yes, it doesn't make sense to earn 13 when someone is offering 18. But for the sake of risk averseness, just spread your risk. And I think that's the moment they realize, by the way, I think this guy is just having a conflict of interest. He's paid commission, and this is the only place he wants me to put their money, to put my money into. So do your due diligence, Sally, but also spread your risk, spread your money into places where there are guys who have been there since 2011, and they have proven they have always been on good books. They have not been having misappropriation of funds, and they have proven that they are a stable company. That way you will be able to know, by the way, where do I then put my money? And along the way you will start realizing each one of them is making something at the end of the year or at the end of the month. Yes. Awesome.
Let's go to investments, James, and talking to beginners, someone who has never ventured into, into investment. What are some of the safest investment options that we have in our country? Especially for beginners. Because you see, they're still afraid. This is my hard-earned cash.
I don't want to go all there. So for beginners, and I think, first of all, I would discourage to put it in a bahasha. It's a good thing. I remember last time there is someone who asked a question, can I still put my emergency fund in a bahasha? It's good if you are super disciplined, where you only go in that bahasha only for emergencies. And we say the emergencies are things that come up that derail you from attending your daily activities. Could it be sickness? Could it be transport? Could it be a car has broken down? Maybe una jump start from the neighbor every morning. You need to buy a battery. So those are the places where we can say you can go to that emergency fund. Bahashas are good, but again, it's very risky and they require very high discipline. But for a beginner, I usually encourage people, apart from where you receive your money from your bank account, have a money market account. Because the money market, you put in your money, it's giving you a good percentage, and on the other hand, it's accessible. And that is for savings. If you want to save for the next 1 year, maybe you have a goal for 2 years, 3 years, a beginner, the best place is the money market fund. And these are places where, again, you need to discipline yourself. Give them a name. Even have more than 2 money markets. I said last time I have 2 of them. One of them I don't access it. The other one is for emergencies. That's where I go to. But now I have a bank account where my money goes through. And if I want to fuel, that is where I run my card in a petrol station. I know that is exactly for my needs and not where I am saving. And another place is a SACCOs. And a SACCO, I also encourage people, do your due diligence again to know how much their dividends for the past few years, know their stability level. I interacted with the company I'm working with currently, like advising and also plugging in people to financial products. And I realized they are in a SACCO that charges every deposit of 2,000 shillings, they charge 200 shillings to make a deposit. So that means 2,000 shillings, they charge you 10% of how much you have. Like they charge you to put money to them. And at the end of the year, they give you a dividend of 10%. They charge you 10%, they give you 10%. So at the end of the day, you have not made a shilling. It's not a saving. It's not even an investment. It's like someone with a bahasha at home. Know how do they have charges? for me to deposit, or maybe that maintenance fee and all that. If they are there, maybe the next thing is to do is to run for your dear life. Just put your money in a place where your money is making money. And I thank God, because nowadays, social media, there are people who give content that this is the most stable circle, this is the best dividend, this is where to get this and that. So, and also circles help us. I usually ask people to open a circle if you're looking into expanding a business later or accessing a cheap loan. Circles actually are for cheap loans, but it's a place where people can save, because they also give dividends at the end of the year. And another place is mutual funds. And mutual funds, they are offered mostly by insurance companies, and nowadays banks are offering that, where they give a blend of stocks and a blend of T-bills and all that. They call it balanced fund, mutual funds, where they are doing several saving plans, and at the end of the day they give you a percentage. But again, why I don't go to that directly for a beginner is because sometimes you can lose money, because if someone invested in stocks and that stock lost money, it means you will earn less money at some point. But for money market, as long as the T-bills are doing well, you can be able now to save there. And again, T-bills, they are a place where maybe you have saved your money market up to 50K to 100K. You can now diversify to treasury bills. And nowadays, the Central Bank of Kenya have introduced those CSD, where you download an app, you do registration. Maybe it takes 2 weeks. Once you are approved, your app is up. Whenever they are giving some bonds or treasury bills, you can bid and buy directly from your app. So those are the places where beginners maybe can start with, if I would be asked. But money market comes in maybe on top of the list. Yes.
Let's quickly shift to youth and financial fitness. Some of the common money mistakes that you have observed with young people.
And that's a good question. And for me, the first one is not saving early. You know, like where someone gets their first salary and says, hapa najirudishia shukrani. And you know, it's a habit you have started without, subconsciously you have started a lifestyle. So for me, it's not saving from the first salary. And I ask people, maybe you are 1 year down the line, maybe where do you start? I think the best place to start as a young person, it's as early as now. Create a money market account, ask for an online. Nowadays you can open online, upload your ID, upload your KRA PIN and all these, and start as low as 500 shillings. You don't have to start with 1,000. If you are into a place where you are earning 100,000, start even with the budgeting, the 50-30-20 rule. Knock off the 10% to short term to a money market. The next 10%, put it into a place where you cannot be able to withdraw it. And then the other thing is to living above our means. I've realized, I have a friend I visited recently, and then I noticed every time we meet, they have a new phone, the latest phone. And I was asking him, like, and actually they were challenging me. They had borrowed me my car to rush to somewhere. And I asked them, by the way, you have a phone of around 120K. Do you know that with 200,000 shillings, you can have a car? Used, maybe very well used, and there are avenues where someone can, but you have 120,000 shillings phone, and these are places where the last 3-4 months you had another one. How are you managing your finances? And these are lifestyle living beyond our means, where we realize I don't have money, but it's because I'm living above my means. I'm picking stuff that are beyond where I should be. And then another thing is relying on too much debts, where now, of course, it's touching on living beyond our means. That means if I'm living above my means half the month, it will catch up where the next 2 weeks I don't have fare to go to work. That means we download the next mobile app to take a loan. And eventually when that catches up on you, you realize in the next time you have 2 apps, you have 3 apps, and then you realize you cannot live without a loan. And then another thing I'm repeating, maybe not having a budget. We don't give our money a name before we get it, because a budget, we said, it helps you to give your money a name before you get your money. That way you will not wonder where your money went. That means the 20%, as I've said, you have put this to savings. And the moment you start saving or automating your savings, you realize the rest of your finances, they are able now to fall into place. You are able to adjust on other things. And then another one is failing to invest. And I've said about that. I don't want to repeat that. And the other one is ignoring emergency funds. And emergency funds, these are a place where if a rainy day comes, and rainy days will always come, you run to debt. You see, emergency fund is the way we said last time, it helps us to avoid debts. So if you ignore that, it means it will reach to a place where if things happen, you don't have a place to run to. And then another thing is falling for get-rich-quick schemes. We have had people, I think it was in Eldoret some time back, maybe last year, it was end of last year, people were told to put in their money and then they will get maybe 2-3 times within a certain period. People get into those traps where we chase percentages, we put our money in so much risk, and until we come to a place where we lose our money so quickly. And then coming out of that trap, even saving will become a problem, because now you have been beaten and everything else becomes like you don't want to go there. It sets us to a bad place. Another thing is not prioritizing insurance, because sometimes we think, I talked about a lady who was paid a certain amount of money. What if she had and I've worked with someone, I think I shared with a lady here, the lady I worked with since 2019. Right now, she has an emergency fund of 500,000 shillings. She was telling me, James, I don't know where to start. But I told her, can we create an account and call this name? Let us create another account and call it this name. But now, have an insurance, because she was left with a loan that was taken by the husband through a circle. So she could not be able to come out of those loans. Have an insurance as a place where if things happen and God forbid I'm not there tomorrow, I have a protection to my family. My children can still go to school. But for a young person, sometimes people think, by the way, do I need an insurance investment at the end of the day? And I usually ask them, the younger you are, the more returns you get. And then the moment maybe you are not married, you are not yet gotten a family, when you get a family, they know how you do your money. They are not coming to figure out how we should move forward. They already know, this is how I get my money, this way I put this way I put this, and this way I put that. That way, insurance will help you actually to come out of those hard situations. Another thing is not learning about money, and I thank God for Hope TV that we are able to have this conversation. They are very hard, but again, they help us to be aware. I've been mentoring a group of young men. Actually, they are graduating tomorrow somewhere in Tigoni. And there's a guy who told me, James, nowadays when I get into a supermarket, every offer makes sense. Everywhere I'm saving a shilling, it makes sense, because I want to save as much as possible. And this is a guy I've seen, he started with an emergency fund of 1,000 shillings in the money market. At the end of the session for the 6 weeks we did, he was already at 10K. And he was telling me, I didn't know I had this money. So are you in a place where you are learning about money and where to put it? And so I would say maybe those are the few mistakes that most people make. But again, the good thing is that when you realize you are making a mistake, the next thing to do is to start where you are, budget, have emergency fund, and then have it rolling. Yes.
Quickly, let's go to insurance, because we hear of insurance and we flee, we run. Life insurance, its place in as far as financial planning is concerned. And I usually say, I come from a culture, I'm in Kenya, but I'm in a church culture where we have Kenyans and have expatriates. And what I like about them is that if anyone loses a loved one, don't add them in a WhatsApp group. Because they will come and ask you, James, you have been earning money. Don't you have an insurance? Do those people have insurance to protect them in such a way? We know life, at the end of the day, we will exit this world. It's only that we don't know when. So do you plan yourself where I have children, I know they will go to school. Am I in a place where I know they will go to school, either I'm there or not? And these are where we talk about insurance investment policies. If you don't have children, do you take an investment policy where your money is growing? They are giving you a long-term savings plan, especially for business people who don't have pensions and all that. These are places where they take insurance policies, investment policies, where it's making them money, but it has an umbrella on top of them. That means what you have labored for the last maybe 20 years, if you're not there the next month, everything will be swallowed up
maybe in the next few months. And then there are relatives who come in and they manage stuff. They tell you, no, our guy and this and that.
Yeah.
Do you have a place where your family can have a shock absorber if things happen? And the good thing is that out of what I've seen over time, 90% of investment policies are paid. Maturities are paid rather than death claims. Because sometimes we can think, whenever I take it, I have a perception. It's like I'm declaring a death on me. But actually, 90% of them, they are paid on maturities. And these are places where I tell each family, if you have never taken an insurance investment policy, maybe education could be, maybe your kids are off the threshold where if I take one, they will be off the school limit. But can you take an investment policy that allows you to give an umbrella to your family? Because as much as it is important to earn money, it's also important to have a protection at the same time. So these are places where when we talk about financial planning, have money going to, and you can approach it as a long-term savings plan, but at the same time it has value, another value in it. So for me, insurance is a must. And as I'm saying, I think the community I've interacted with has really challenged me. Whenever things happen, don't add them to any WhatsApp group. Sort yourself.
Plan.
Let us do life together. Plan yourself. And this is a place where, yes, I think it has been a big challenge. But again, we thank God, Kenya now, I think we are around 3% insurance absorption, 3 to 4%. I know South Africa, they are at around maybe 8-9%. Because there's a time the government rule had, like if you're being paid, part of your money should go to an investment through an insurance company. And again, when we talk about insurance investment policies, they also help you they are paid maturity free. They are also helping you like 15% of your income. You get less pay as you earn taxation. It helps you to save on tax. It helps you to get tax-free maturities. So it's a good thing, and it's a blend where each one of us should actually have. Yes.
How can we be able to build a sustainable retirement scheme? Because many a times when now it's time for retire to go home and retire, relax and all, it's like a death sentence. And we have seen in Kenya so many unfortunate incidences. How then do we plan for a sustainable retirement plan?
Great. And one thing I usually advise people, maybe you're in unemployment. Of course, you have the Tier 1 and Tier 2 NSSF reductions. But when you look how much that will be on your retirement, it could be somewhere 300,000-400,000 shillings. Is it enough to give you a long-term income after you retire? And unfortunately, the unfortunate thing is that whenever people get this money, even if it's $1 million or 1.5 million, people go. I remember a lady, someone I was talking to in the class that is graduating tomorrow. I think it was a mother who got a lump sum for retirement. They bought an Uber for 750 shillings. They sold it at 250,000 shillings. I think 2, 3, 4 months later, because the car was like mismanaged by the driver who got it and all that. So can we prioritize our retirement? And as I said, there's no enough money to retire with. We cannot say retire with 14 million, retire with 10 million. The higher the amount, the better, because that way we usually give people a product we call annuity, where you are earning a monthly salary up to the time you die. If you die early, your beneficiaries get the balance and all that. Can you have a place where you are growing your income to a place where you look at how much your lifestyle takes on monthly expenses? And I know as you follow these steps, by the time you're 1 year, 2 years down the line, you will have known how much my expenses comes at. That way, you will know how much I will need for retirement. And then you start working backward. And I usually say investment policies are so good. Say, I'll retire in the next 25 years. Can I start a policy for 25 years? Apart from what goes to NSSF Tier 1 and Tier 2, I have another lump sum that will merge with that. That way, I will retire with a figure that can sustain me for the rest of my life. If by the grace of God you live to be 90, can that money run you there? Another way to make sure you have a sustainable retirement plan is also looking at what can I start thinking about? Is it into agribusiness? What are my interests? Where do I want to retire? Can I start something maybe halfway, maybe at 40 or 35 or whatever it is, that can sustain me, that I will not retire actually.
Yeah.
It's only that my income will shift to another hustle that I'll be doing. And then on retirement, on top of how much you will retire with, maybe you will upscale whatever you have been doing if it has been so good, or you will be able now to be in a place where you are retiring and then you have something going on the side. So for me, that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And also maybe a tier 2. I want to go back to the tier 1 and tier 2 NSSF because it's a retirement and a pension plan from the government. Outsource your tier 2. Don't put everything on the same basket to the government. Because if you look at the dividends they declared last, they said everything went to operational cost for so many years.
Yes.
So tier 2 means where once you outsource that to a private company, every time they declare a bonus, it compounds for your money is compounding.
Yeah.
So I usually encourage people, it's legally, it has been put out there. Tier 1 is compulsory to the NSSF, tier 2 outsource to a private company. And I usually tell HRs wherever I go for trainings, make sure you are the tier 2 for your employees is safe in a place where it's compounding and it's giving them the most it can give for their money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. That's encouraging also to the HRs out there to look out for their staff members.
Yes, empower them.
Empower them.
Yes.
Yeah, so that by the time they are coming out, they will not be, looking back and saying, I think I wasted my years. No.
Exactly.
No.
Yes.
James, we need to call it a day. Thank you so very much. Imagine, it's already a minute past.
Oh, my goodness.
So thank you so very much for your dedication,
Sure.
for your sacrifice as well, each and every day over the last few weeks that you have come here on Mondays to share your knowledge, your wisdom. We don't take it for granted.
Sure.
Thank you so very much. I can give you less than 30 seconds to give us your parting shot as well. And
Great. My parting shot is that kindly go back to the links for these teachings. I've done them for the last 3 weeks. Go through them bit by bit. And I know some of them we did with a lot of rush, but I know financial freedom is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. We have given you head knowledge. If you want to reach out to me, I think Hope Media, if you say you want my contact, I think Hope Media, we're in a relationship where they can share my number and we can be able to have this conversation. And I believe over time we will come to a place where we are mastering our money, because at the end of the day, we are in a Christian channel, we are Christians, where money doesn't master us, but actually we are mastering our money. So that would be my parting shot. And by the grace of God, let us meet either one-on-one or maybe in a company where you are in a group where you would want financial advice and all that.
Awesome.
Yes.
James, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Indeed, we have given our viewer the head knowledge, which is 20%.
Yes.
Now the 80%, which is behavioral change, is up to them.
For sure.
And we are hoping that you will not, waste the lessons that we have been given, and that you will be able to apply the same in your life. And of course, I know gradually you will see transformation. So thank you. As James has also indicated, go back to our YouTube channel. We have the previous episodes from the time that we began, and it's been an amazing lessons that we have learned over the series that we have had. And so just go back from the time that we began budgeting. We've talked about debt, we've talked about emergency fund as well, to today talking about savings and investments. Lots and lots of wisdom there just for you. So thank you so very much as well for tuning in. Thank you for your company. You can share the link with your loved ones, with your friends, also so that they get to know a thing or two about today's topic. God willing, we do this again tomorrow morning. On behalf of every person who made this production a success, my name is George Gishoro, wishing you a blessed day ahead. Kwaheri.